what kind of audience would be here. But thank you, Mithun. I was actually coming blank and understanding, who is the audience, but now I know the audience, which is quite a mix of, IT people, accountants, civil construction, students, and savory businesses and so on. So, and I also heard people saying they want to learn a lot about AI, and Mithun unfortunately gave me only half an hour. So I'll been thinking, what to bring it in this half an hour for you guys, so that you can start to get onto this journey of AI. So that's how I came into this. But now I'll try to address what people said during the introductions as well. I'll make the slides available, and I guess my friend Gautam, thank you for that. He kindly agreed to come and record this meeting for us, and we can provide the access to the recording as well. So no need to take any pictures or so. Just be here and ask me questions. The key thing would be, once I present it, it'll be what I didn't say. Ask me the questions, and then we'll go from there. How does that sound? Good. So thank you, Mithun. So I am an author. I published a book sometime back. It's about plugging up the operational holes in your business and solving problems through digital solutions, and that's something which I'll cover up as well. I mentor to the young entrepreneurs and to the others also, to the employees of my clients as well as to other people, coming along that way. And collaborator, I work with a number of organizations to, develop a knowledge which is not existing, which is out there, but it's not kind of coming up. So there's another guidebook, which I'm working with another industry partner to deliver it to the market. So first of all, let me ask you guys, you see all those things. What do you see in them when you see them?
See a logo. I see the car, Tesla.
Connectivity, yeah. See, what you see in all those things, they have been there for a long time. They're not new. And they all have AI. They all are powered by AI. So even if you think you have not used AI, but you have used AI, maps, you won't be here probably without the maps today, or an alternative to that. These Alexa, Siri, Google, they've been answering, understanding your voice and answering questions for you. So it's been there for a while. It's not new. Some people think ChatGPT, 2 years ago when it was released, that's when the AI started, but it started long time back. In fact, it started after World War II. So I don't have time to go back that far, but let's look at that.
How Alexa being AI when you compare with ChatGPT? Alexa is just a machine operated.
So Alexa is a natural language processor. So it understands your voice and then goes out and grabs the information from the whatever internet or local network or wherever it needs to, and takes action accordingly.
Then what's the difference between a robo and this Alexa?
Robo and Alexa, the difference is when we say a true robo, which has got see, I'm glad you asked me that question. So basically, when and I'll cover that in the next slide.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that's a good question. What's the difference between that? And I'll explain. Because intelligence is one aspect of the 24 elements of what exists around us. So it's not everything, and machines actually do not have intelligence. So let's look at that. Who has heard of this logo or seen this logo? NVIDIA. 1, 2 people, 3, maybe quite a few. And I know there's an IT professors here. So this company is the highest valuable company in the world at the moment. And the reason behind that is because they produce the chips which go behind AI. And one of the questions in my conversation before was, is data science or AI has got a future or so? It's got like undefined, unlimited future. If you look at it from that perspective, because we are just at the surface of it, it's just a beginning of the AI. So this company, which produces, you would have heard of CPUs. Everybody would have heard of CPU. So they produce what is called a GPU, graphical processing unit. And that company, and they started off building that for the games, for the video games or so. But then they found that rendering that complex environment onto a video screen, the same technology can be used to do the machine learning and to do that the data science and machine learning, that goes behind artificial intelligence. So their GPUs are being used for machine learning in every aspect, and that company has actually it made it accessible. When things become economically cheap, the people tend to use it more, and then the more it gets into a flywheel, and people start to create more and more. So they made that technology possible. They made it cheaper. The bigger things, they're now compressed in a small cabinets or so. So that's what it is. And only last week or so, they did a big partnership with the Reliance Jio in India. So so that company is the key thing. But who has seen this movie? Anybody? One, two, everyone. So this is the artist. Their one question was, what's the limit of AI or so? It's unlimited, because artists have got a mind, where they can dream of anything and create things. When this movie was made, many of the things in AI were not possible. And the same thing, there are many other English movies also, Matrix, Robo, the number of movies which have been made. The point is, what they can conceive is possible. They say humans beware. So which is what happens in this movie. I mean, apart from the normal masala thing in the Indian movies, they the scientist Robo Chitti, he's falls in love with his girlfriend, and all those sort of things happen, and then there's a villain also. Everything happens. So AI Robo, that's it's going to, it's beyond the imagination. So you'll see whatever you can imagine, things will happen. Another thing is, AI is going to become like electricity. It's going to be everywhere. We don't recognize that electricity is in these lights, in the heating or in the cooling, or everything. So AI is going to be everywhere. So if somebody says AI inside, because that's what people are selling it as a solution, saying AI inside, but it's going to be everywhere. As you see, a number of those things, they have been doing some part of AI before. So who am I to talk about this thing? So I say I'm an engineer from childhood, because when I was very young, I was given toys, and I'll just, rather than playing with it, I'll disassemble them and try to understand what's inside, and I stopped getting those toys, soon after. But that's the mindset, I've been having. So I try to go under the hoods and see what's inside. So I'll try to explain to you guys. I've worked across almost all the IT functions, and worked in corporate sector, SMEs, and run a small business as well. I stay across all the emerging technologies. AI is one of them. You must have heard of Industry 4.0, 5.0, which has got another set of 9 or 10 technologies, which all hang in together to deliver business outcomes or so. And one of my thing is, I take collaborative approach, because when you're working with emerging technologies, or the technologies which are not there, you cannot have a solution which is tried and tested 10 years in the line. So you have to work with your partners, with your customers, with everyone, to deliver those solutions. So that's the approach I take, and I take approach, the same thing with my other industry partners to create new knowledge. I say I envy the artists, and I mean, apart from the Robo movie, which is there. When I started my engineering degree, I met one of my cousin's friend who was doing Master of Arts in Punjabi literature, and like energetic person, you're getting into technology, you can do a lot, and what AI is today, electronics used to be in those days. And I was explaining it to him, and he listened to me and said, "Okay, that's fine. When things are ready, available, we'll use them. You keep working on that. We got other things to do." So that kind of stumped me. Like what technologies can do and what artists do. They have a different mindset, and the artists always have got a position, which is different to technologists. So, you won't see each singer becoming that popular, but you'll see thousands of engineers and doctors and others there who are doing small things, but artists can do one thing at a mega level. So, and I run a small business, as I said. But what is in it for you? So what I'm going to do is demystify AI for you, and under the hood, what's there, and hopefully answer some of those questions which you have. The other thing is I'll empower you guys to identify what business challenges AI can solve for you. And it's not everywhere. It's and I'll explain where it's better, where it works, and where it doesn't work. And one of my thing would be encourage you to learn a bit more and get onto begin your journey as you go. But let's see what's the intelligence, as I said, natural versus human, natural versus artificial. There were many things when I was coming into this, and I was thinking, what's the simplest way I can show this thing. If we otherwise, if you look at the intelligence, as you must have heard of this thing, mind, intelligence, ego, and then working with your sensory perceptions, as you have, and then the hands, the things in which you take actions. So the difference, as you asked that question, what's the difference between a Robo and an Alexa? Alexa can take some action, but it cannot do like hands and the actions in the physical world. So that's not there, but there are other things, like Tesla can do actions in the physical world. It can apply brakes, it can accelerate, it can do things as it sees the environment. So so that's the difference. I mean, they both use AI, but one is limited because of the domain in which it is operating. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And if you look at from learning, both are learning, machines and humans. And machines actually do not learn, they actually compute and store information. Machine learning is a kind of a misnomer, but that's a term which is there. So we'll continue with that. And see, there's a human have got intelligence, but they don't have intelligence. They have models, which are created and which are discovered from the input data. And from input and output data, the statistical techniques which find out what is it that is converting A to B. It works out that function. So the difference, like Ashok said, he's done software for 30 years or so. So the difference between the traditional or the software 1.0 and 2.0, which is with the machine learning, is with 1.0 you had input data, you had humans writing code, and you had an output data or some actions. With 2.0, the way it works is you have input data and you have output data. You put the machine to work out itself, what is it that is converting input to output. From that that thing, it creates a function which is used to work on the other input data and then create that thing. So it's basically the function writing is being taken away by the machine discovery of that discovery of the machine via the machine learning. The data is the main important aspect in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Without data, it won't exist or it won't work. We learn skills. Someone teaches us, we learn skill. The same way those skills learned are applied in the machines. So that's how this thing. That's how these two main things work. And machine learning is an aspect of artificial intelligence. There are many different domains which are there, but this is the core one. You may have heard of deep learning or deep fakes or so, which is a further subset of machine learning. Let's not go there, but that's basically deep learning is something which Netflix uses to suggest you what to suggest you to watch next, or Amazon says you bought this, buy this now, those sort of things. So that's how these things have been used. So basically what AI is doing, it's providing the ability to perform the tasks which humans do. The tasks which humans, not all the tasks, but the ones which are very repetitive, risky, or where we as humans determine that this task has got a very high volume. We need to do it somehow through a machine. It's got a large speed at which it goes, where humans tend to fall off or so. And the variety of the tasks, that's where these machines are good at it. But it learns from the data, understands the pattern, as you might have understood, when you started learning A for apple, B for boy, and those sort of things. The same way machines are taught. So it's and the way we learn and understand, like you all understood that I'm Kamal because Mithun introduced you guys, and you have formed a view in your minds that this body which is standing here is Kamal. So that's how everybody learned it in the last half an hour or so. The same way machines learn, and they continuously keep learning in the way humans keep learning. But it helps us making decisions. That's the key point here. Because without making decisions, learning and all those things, means nothing. And AI empowers to make those decisions in a way that's in context, because humans also have context, but AI can have a lot of capacity to store the context, to store what's needed in that environment, and it can recall it also. We can also do it. If you look at what we have in our brains, it's 100 billion neurons we have, and I have some of the doctors here who can correlate to that. And those neurons, they form neural network to store information. There are different sections in the brain which addressed to your senses, like taste, smell, touch, hearing, and what's the fifth one? All the five senses. So sometimes when you might think that somebody has got a problem with that this particular taste, because his taste buds linking back to that part in the brain, there's some problem. So that's why you only sometimes miss on some parts of the taste, but you can taste other things. And same thing with the smells. And so getting under the hoods, how those decisions are made, and how traditionally we as humans make decisions, and how AI has started to latch onto it, and that's what I'll go through that with you. So for making any decision, you have an input data. Somebody will give you an input. Like you all made a decision to come here today, which is based on some input, based on invitation, based on traffic conditions, based on so many things. Like one of my friends who was supposed to come here, he took a wrong train, but he made a decision to go back because he went so far into a different direction. With the input, we get the training to understand how to make a decision. Like doctors, they are trained to understand and make decisions about the human illness or wellness, and they can, and there's a lot that goes on, in becoming a doctor, or in becoming an engineer, or in becoming anything you have become. And along with that, we look at the judgment of what's the input data, what's the training, and we make a judgment. And from that judgment, we make a prediction. Invariably, before AI came, we started to think that judgment and prediction, they are one thing, but they are actually two separate things. And this is where, kind of digitized that aspect of it. Based on that, it makes a prediction that something will happen or something can happen. For example, a doctor looking at a patient, saying, symptoms are there, and, say, for example, he's got a pain, cramps in the leg, whether that's just a muscle cramp, or is a DVT, or is a different type of an illness, depending on that. But the doctor will make a decision because he knows the patient history, he knows many other factors, and he'll pass a judgment and might say, okay, I recommend you to take a medicine to dissolve your clot, or you go and just take a rest, depending on what it is. But then from that prediction, from the prediction, which is formed out of the judgment, we take an action, and from that action, you obviously get an outcome, saying, you took this action, this happened. The outcome is the result of that action, and that outcome, whether that is good or bad, you take a feedback back into your training to understand, or back into your other prediction mechanism, where you say, okay, you took rest for 2 days, but the pain is still there, means it might be a clot. So he might change his prediction at that time and suggest you a different action. So that's how the decision loop continues to go on. So before Gen AI came, and most of the systems were only doing predictions, so they were just doing machine predictions, and those predictions, based on that, it will, even the Google Maps, it predicts, you want to go from point A to point B based on all the traffic data, based on all the conditions. You will reach there, say, in 30 minutes. It continuously keeps updating, and that's how, sometimes 30 minutes becomes 25, and sometimes become 45, depending on all those things. But it's basically just predicting and telling you, what's happening out there. With the Gen AI, those systems, because they were trained on the entire internet, they were trained on so many things, the way traditional coding was done, the way medical records were done. It can learn from the documents, what all exists. Like, you'll be amazed that there are about 6,000 papers published in the medical journals every day, and no one doctor has got human capacity to go through all those things and then work out a treatment plan for your patients. But generative AI systems, they can do it, and they can suggest something just in time suggestion for a doctor to about that patient's condition to save the life. So Gen AI systems, like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Bard, or Copilot, Microsoft's Copilot. There's another one, Claude, if you know. So there are 3 or 4 main ones which are being trained on massive data. Can you imagine? Like, if you just hear the number, amount of money and the resources spent to just transition from from ChatGPT's 4.0 to 4.0, it's a mind-boggling $400 million they had to spend. So that's not something which a small business can do it. But what we can do is we can leverage what has been done, so that we can work on other things which by leveraging what has already been done, but that knowledge. So Gen AI can create, like text to text, text to speech, text to video, or video to text, or those sort of things. All those things. Gen AI has been trained, and all these models are, like in a competition. They're going hand in hand to compete with each other, so that eventually, they can capture the market. So that's the idea. But all those things, physical things, like the cars, connected cars, like Tesla car is connected. Many other things, like phones are connected. Many other things, they continue to, they get digitized, they get connected to the internet, and they become more and more smart, and they can provide, all those IoT sensors. You must have heard of this Internet of Things, which is connecting those senses and taking those actions. All those things, like Tesla car has got 15 cameras. So rather than 2 eyes driving, it's 15 eyes driving. So that's how you'll see that it has got less chance of making mistakes. But then there's a judgment action, where the Tesla can decide to kill someone to save the driver, or vice versa. Those sort of things can happen. So there are risks, and there are other things also. The guardrails also need to be provided. So these things, they'll keep on leveraging everything, that's happening around, and one thing will fuel another. Now, one important progression that is happening is one you would have seen in drug development, like COVID drug development. Why it happened so fast was because of AI sitting in the back. The one, it could take, it could run a number of scenarios in parallel. Things which used to take years and years, it can do that. It can create the one is a physical data, one is a synthetic data. Synthetic data means which is AI systems generate to saying, based on this, this kind of a data is there, which can be used by other AI systems to continue to train. So that will continue to look at. So what you as business leaders and you as normal community need to look at it is, it's like accounting. Like business leaders, they learn accounting. They don't become accountants, but they learn accounting because that's something, they need to learn to run and operate the business properly. The same way, you would need to understand AI and learn about the basics and how things will work, so that you can decide where in your business AI makes sense, where it doesn't. Because the key thing is, it's going to be, do you have the data? You might be capturing the data already, you might not be, but if you don't have the data, then you can't do anything. But if you have the data and you want to make a different set of decisions, that's where AI would help a lot. So, but then how these decisions progress? Basically, if you're doing a data driven, animation stuffed up. Anyhow, so AI basically empowers the data driven decisions. So it's all about empowering the decisions which can be made based on the data. And if you have the data, only then you would be able to leverage what AI can do. So at the core of it, the system, which you might be very familiar with, decision support systems, where you have the data, you just understand, visualize it, understand the alerts, and you can create, the humans decide based on those dashboards or other things, saying, okay, this because of these alarms or alerts coming, this is the thing I need to do, and they are trained to do that. In the augmentation of those decisions, so machine uses AI to predict and diagnose and recommend, what can be done, and the human takes that action. For example, Netflix suggests you watch this movie. You say, okay, or you just flick it over and go for the next one. So that's the augmentation of the decision, which see, which is like a co-pilot, like a Microsoft co-pilot or so. It suggests you can do these things, and then you choose what you want to do, what you need to do or so. But decision automation is where is the ultimate, when you are in a position you're comfortable, you trust the AI to say, based on this input, this was this is the outcome, and we are happy with this progression of the events from here. So you start to make autonomous decisions. For example, Tesla makes a decision. They were like, I'm not sure if you're aware, like Tesla has saved many people's lives in terms of just predicting that there is some crash happened 500 or 600 meters away, and with that, it can apply brakes and stop before it goes out and runs into the into that already piled up accidents or so. So there are many stories which people have shared on that.
But it failed to detect before that happened.
It can, but if you look at decision automation is not new. Since 1950s, we've been having our planes flying on autopilot. It's not something new. It's just because when it's flying that high, the environmental factors are all controlled or so we've been doing autopilot. And over the last 20-30 years, with the technology improvement, everything, most of the air crashes have happened because it was not on autopilot, or some pilot kind of interfered into doing things which it didn't understand fully. So everything is not suitable for automation, because when you're doing this, you have a lot of responsibility. You have to do take into account number of things before you can allow that thing. So that's why you put the risk, the humans take the risk, like who would provide the auto insurance for a crash with Tesla or so. This is still a debate. But we can provide guide rails. We of course manage exceptions as they happen. So that's about this part. But from an SME perspective, or from a small business perspective, apart from all these, now why SMEs would be used? Because if it will be used in every aspect of the business decision, because you make decisions every day, operational decisions, day in, day out, so many of them, and it can help in any of those aspects. But apart from that, there are some other pressures which are coming up, which I'll just highlight here. Customers are expecting more and more. They expect your business to operate in a specific way. The new generation, which has grown up with iPhones, and so they don't even know what's a dial-up phone could be. You ask them to call someone, they say no, I want to chat, because that's how they are looking at that. So just imagine if your business, like your catering business, somebody wants to have a chat, rather than calling you on the phone and giving you an order or so. You need to consider how to provide those chatbots or conversational chatbots or so. And they are technology which are kind of stabilized now. They are available. It's just for you to train it in your context. So customer expectations, you have to meet them. Sustainability is another thing where the government is pushing for whatever products and services you do, they are sustainable. Versus some of the younger generations, they are asking for sustainable packaging, sustainable products or so. So to respond to this sustainability, first thing you need to do is collect the data, and from the data understand what I mean, from a construction business also, sustainability is a big thing. But you can only prove it to government, because one thing is customers are asking, second thing is the regulation is asking for it. You can only prove it to the government that we meet the sustainability goals because we have collected this data, and from this data we understand these are the patterns that are going to emerge, and so on and so forth. So energy costs, who here is not kind of concerned about them? I am very concerned about them, these energy costs. One of the thing in Australian businesses, particularly energy intensive businesses like manufacturing or so, energy cost is more than the labor cost. So they are actually at the verge of going kind of out of business because they can't manage it. But then there are ways to make energy efficiencies and energy productivity, and then to discover further from there how AI can help with that. Supply chain uncertainty, it's an ongoing issue with every supply chain, be that in construction industry, be that in food industry, be that in any industry, supply chain is going to have. How can AI help with that? AI can help you predict that this problem is going to happen. So, you start to take actions 6 months in advance rather than after the event. These are things, that's how, AI can help. Talent and skill shortage, it's something, can you imagine? Even India has got that problem, talent and skill shortage, because even if they have abundant workforce there, but the talent and the skills, they're in shortage. So, and that's Australia is traditionally not a country, where you have a lot of people here, but that's something where a lot of work is happening in the AI area. And I know some of you wanted to start an academy or so. Khan Academy is actually doing a lot of work in that area. If you've heard of that Khan Academy, they're using a lot of AI to do personalized one-on-one teaching, coaching to the students. That's where this education side it's taking. So teachers are not going to go get out of business, but they are going to augment or assist the teachers to work with each individual child so that the child or the learner can work at the pace at which the child needs to learn.
They become like prompt engineers.
So they go with the not prompt engineers. They work with you in a way that they monitor your progress, and they whatever teacher does in terms of, if you have to, if you know this as a basis, it quizzes you this. So like ChatGPT, you ask your assignment a question, it provides you the answer, whereas the Khan Academy doesn't do that. You ask a question to Khan Academy, what it will do, it will prompt you with another question. Rather than giving you the answer, it will prompt you to recall yourself or learn yourself, and if you don't understand that concept, it'll take you down that path of explaining that concept and so on. So it's exactly what a teacher would do. So these are the things the AI would do in that area. But how will that affect the normal workers? I'm getting a time check. The normal workers will also get augmented with AI to do their jobs. What needs to look. But the key thing here is that if SMEs are adopting, or the small businesses, they adopt the AI solutions, these challenges, along with resolving your day-to-day operational challenges, you'll resolve these things as well as they come along. Now, the data-driven decisions, where they can be made in business. So this is a slide, which is a little bit of what you'll see happens in a business. Now I know there are some academics or so, but I just thought everybody will be a business, but just bear with me on that. Every business will have customer engagement, working with CRM for your marketing, sales, service, operation, and support. Marketing is the first thing, which first cab of the rank, always, that gets the highest technology, whether it was a digital technologies or whether it's AI technologies or so. There's a lot happens because of the generative AI. It can generate content for you, personalization to the nth degree, to an extent that if you're, say, there are examples, you go to Disney and they know that it's your birthday today, then they'll display, happy birthday to the such and such person, and offer them, specific coupons or discounts or so. So it just makes everyone happy from that perspective. But that's the key thing about marketing is the personalization to the nth degree. Search engine optimization, if you guys must have heard of it. And that's another key area, that's where you look into. Sales, the coaching of the sales, all the conversational chatbots and so on. Service operation, when I say service operation, when the products and services are connected, how they are behaving in the market, for example, Tesla also. And support, customer support, again with a lot of chatbots. If you have a problem with an order with Woolworths or Coles, you're talking to a chatbot there. Business management, it does a lot of work in planning, forecasting, HR management, workforce and workflow management. From workforce and workflow management, you can kind of Uberize your work specifically, as Uber does, connecting the driver to the passenger. Same way you can do that in your business, from where a person who is doing the work and person who is needing the work, or the particular workflow that's needing the work. So in all these areas, the AI has got a role to play. And I don't have time to go through all those things in specific area, but just imagine these areas in supply chain management. When you interact with supply partners, you're doing the planning, forecasting, and demand management with them. You're managing the raw material stock, their quality control, whether you do it through cameras or so. These are things. In operation management, it's plenty of use cases in that area. And same thing, when you're doing your infrastructure, product, and service strategy. For example, you do this room before you place anything. You can simulate everything, and in advance you can say that in this facility or in this infrastructure, these many people, machines, or other things can be accommodated. So you can do all those things, and they are the solutions which are live in production at the moment. Support functions, comms and collaboration, internal comms, like anybody using Microsoft Teams, if you're working in an office or university or so, those sort of a thing, they work a lot on that. Security is one interesting thing. With AI, both the criminals and the people, good people, they're both trying to use AI to attack each other. So AI attacking AI, that's another funny thing happening there. But only AI can tackle AI, not human people. To do this a little further, this is the book, which I mentioned I have done. I actually did this book in January 22 before ChatGPT came. I had no idea at that time ChatGPT would come and be that popular, but I had made references there. It prepares your business, digitizes, helps you digitize your business, and prepare it in a way that you can make use of the digital solutions, as well as get ready for the AI era. Now you can order the book over there, or I got some copies here today. So if you would like to grab a copy, I'm more than happy to help. And if you take a copy and read it, and I'm happy to go through an hour of consultation post that thing to understand your specific context. Now, if you're going to be implementing the AI in your business, so these are the things you need to be looking at. The key thing: make it business-led. Understand what problem in your business you're going to be solving, and that make sure about that, and then work out what decisions you are already making, what decisions are required, and what predictions are required, which you don't have at the moment, and what judgments, and where you want to do a decision automation. So that's a simple kind of a discovery canvas, you can use just to start thinking about what business functions, where you would need to apply AI. Because if you're not having if you don't need to make a decision, one or two manual decisions are fine during the day. That's not an AI case. So where AI makes a difference is volume, variety, and yeah, basically volume and variety. So you identify the problem, and then you need to be looking at what right tool you would need. You would see, as a small business, most of these tools, all these tools which are available in the marketplace, they are building AI into that, so that in their anybody knows about Salesforce, HubSpot, SaaS system, ERP systems, and so everybody's building AI into their solutions. So as a small business, that might be a thing, where you depend on the vendors to do it. But the key thing is, from your perspective, is to understand the data, understand the decisions, and if that particular platform can do it for you, well and good. If they can't do it, you can look for alternatives. Data preparation and gaps are the key things, and you need to train yourself as well as your team, because you're going to be able to managing the change in the business. Because when you're introducing AI, it's like another trained person, which is working in your business. You should start small and scale big. But let's just winding up. AI is just not a, don't take it as a technology shift, but think of from a business-led perspective. What business opportunity and how would it make you future ready? Of course, don't go alone. Collaborate with a number of system integrators, partners, software solution providers, and so on. And this is a continuous journey. It's not something which you'll just do once. Like as humans, we keep learning until the last day. And the same thing with the AI. You'll keep learning and adapting to the situation. It's like, as I said, it's like hiring a team member. It's not something you just like buy a technology and it'll work. It's like an ongoing person you have in place. At Digital Connect, we work with we have a number of partners. In the middle is the tie, which I was mentioning before, which is just purely networking. From networking perspective, it doesn't sell anything. It just helps other entrepreneurs doing these things, and it's got a investment toy angels part also. But from my side, I have some partners listed here. The two ones here, Telarus and Metrics Invent, they in the back end, they have, like Telarus gives me access to 150 partners, 150 vendors, and Metrics Invent, they give me access to about 6 or 7, a lot in industrial automation side of things, where we use AI to do industrial Internet of Things based solutions. HubSpot at the bottom, that's a CRM solution partner I have. IDS is my partner for any custom development. We need to do it in anything that's not available out there. On this side, these are some of the industry partners with IoT Alliance, which is an IoT body, big body here, and that's more on the data smart sort of things. And this where I'm working with a guidebook for industrial automation, for industrial Internet of Things, and RACE 2030, which is reliable, affordable, and clean energy. With them, we are working on the energy productivity and energy efficiency side of things. So with that, thank you all for patiently listening, and I hope I covered what you expected from this session. And of course, there are going to be questions, so feel free to have questions. And I know Mithun is giving me a time check.
Thank you, Kamal, for the fantastic presentation. I hope it was very informative for each of you. At the outset, what I would like to also inform is what AI lacks is consciousness, intuition, and human depth that each of you sitting here could offer, which defines human thinking. So, irrespective of all the technology that's emerging, believe in yourself and you can do a lot more than what you imagine. So that is the message that I wish to drive after this presentation. Thank you so much, Kamal, once again for taking your time, and express my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of ATCC for taking your time to be in our midst today to present.
My pleasure. Happy to help everyone. Thank you.
And if there are any questions, we facilitate Q&A right after the meeting.